They do not have, apparently, I thought they just may have a quick one or an insufficient one. They don't have any production meetings. Because now we're hearing people are saying, well, Tony doesn't have the show ready in time to have a production meeting before they go do it. Or is that because he's still writing it because he's overworked or he's confused? Or is that because, as we've also heard, a lot of the guys just come in and tell him what they're going to fucking do, which is why it looks like a clip show, a series of different vignettes of wrestling rather than an actual cohesive program. And if they don't have a production meeting, then they are not laying it all out in one place in front of the crew for people to see that it's redundancy repeated redundantly. But the production meeting, not to go off on a soapbox here, but the production meeting is not for the matches or the interviews as relates to how the talent performed them. It is for everybody else, the announcers, the crew, the cameraman, the director, the sound, all the other. It is the production meeting is for how you shoot the matches and the interviews. And even if the people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, if you're not cueing them before you go live to them and they're punching themselves in the face, that's not good. Or if nobody knows how to get out of the way of the other camera and they're doing it on the air, it looked like that show from the BBC, the Goes Wrong show. The production meeting, which again in the WWE of the 90s or F, the production meeting for a pay-per-view that the bell time was at 8:00. We were having a meeting at 11 in the morning. And in TNA for a 7:00, I think, or 8:00 pay-per-view, it would be noon, even TNA. For television, if it was 7 or 7:30, we were ringing the bell. We were doing a production meeting by 1:00. And that's the WWF. They have a big budget. They have a big crew. Still, whatever I've been involved in, the time may change, but Ring of Honor, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, OVW, TNA, NWA, MLW, other productions that I've been involved in, the crew may be smaller or larger. The time may be different because people may be doing 2 or 3 different jobs or, snatch and grab to get them there. But you have to go over the show in front of the head of each department of the production, as well as the main players like the top handheld camera guys and etc. So that and ask the questions that we've talked about here in the past, when a format's read and they just gloss over something that obviously the announcers would have a question about, how do we cover this? Or the director would have a question, well, wait a minute, how you need to shoot that? You ask those questions, then you bring up what can possibly go wrong, what might not be understood by the viewer, even though we know it because we wrote the goddamn thing and they're just watching it. It's a whole nother set of meetings that you have with the talent on the matches and the finishes and the interviews. That's more meetings, which is why this is such a high stress fucking job when you're on a shoestring budget and doing these productions. But there's a lot of details to nail down. If they're either not having production meetings because Tony doesn't have his shit together, or because the guys are still making up their own fucking morality plays, then that's why that these mistakes are happening and that this shit in some cases looks so amateur because they're shooting it on the fly based on what somebody, well, yeah, when that happens, just shoot it. Well, it ain't that fucking easy, morons. And a lot of these guys have never been on, any kind of mainstream television production before, but a lot of them have. But that's what first impressed me about, I'm sorry, I'll get off this box in a second. But that's for what first impressed me about MJF when I met him in MLW. He not only came up and was asking questions of us in the announce booth on, not only bringing up things that he might do that we could say, or call, but also just asking us questions. And he asked the crew, the technical crew, questions about the setup or the post production or how will this look. He wanted to learn everything. And that was instantly refreshing because some of these fucking numbnutses have been in the goddamn business where their primary exposure is on television for 10 years and they don't know how to fucking work television or lay television out or give cues for television or goddamn explain their angle or their match or their finish or their whatever they're going to do for the television crew so that they can understand it. And now I'm fucking pissed off now. Your thoughts?
I don't. There was a lot there.
It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but it just is. You can't do this on national television. We put more preparation into OVW TV.
Well, you hit on something that's a big topic here. The production meetings or lack thereof. We've heard whispers about it, or we've heard direct comments about it for a while. Stories started coming out just recently again. Brian Alvarez talked about it. The idea that there aren't production meetings, the idea that apparently Tony Khan is not done writing the show until so late in the day that they can't do it. What does that tell you, and why would it take so long to write this show? Where there's long multi-segment matches and... I mean, is there anything that would prevent a production meeting that you see?
Well, but there's... Well, yes, there is. Not that it's not necessary, but I can see what they're doing. There's not just long multi-segment matches, but there's multiple run-ins and everything. And we just saw the fuck up with Thunder Rosa and the other Megan Brain and Penelope Pitstop or whatever, where they didn't know what the fuck was going on, or obviously some part of that equation didn't know what was going on. And if it's last minute shit and inexperienced people, we don't know. But the point is that, again, like I said, it's not that there's a lot of shit going on these shows. There's too much going on, but they could be written in time to do them professionally. And if you are not doing them at the point where they can be finished at noon or 1 the day of the show so you can tell everybody how to do their job, then you need to change the way you're doing the fucking show, don't you? And again, is it because we know that Tony will stay up for hours on end writing wrestling and talking about wrestling, but is it not done because he's waiting after he tells these guys what he wants them to do, what they go and figure out what they're going to do. And then they come back and tell him, and then he knows. I mean, because none of this is cohesive. It wasn't written from one mindset from start to finish as a program with thought given to not repeating the same kind of angles or using the same kind of objects or doing the same things in the finishes or the afterbirths, or even allotting a certain number of shits and other miscellaneous curse words to specific people. It's just whatever gets fucking done in a segment. So is Tony waiting for instructions and then, it's too late to give it out? Or is he just having a nervous breakdown, a mental collapse, and is rushing to make it to air? But something needs to be done different. I mean, we're seeing this more often now.
Even if you're a control freak and it's just about you wanting control over your show, you still have to make sure the production knows what to shoot and what not to shoot and when to do it.
Well, and maybe is this the reason behind the fake walls that they were infatuated with there for a while, wherever they would build a fake drywall wall in an arena to put somebody through it? Were they not consulting the producer of the entire show and the director or anybody in the truck, a cameraman, to say, well, no, that's going to look as phony as a football bat. Of course you can't do that like that. We can't shoot it that way. Is the production crew seeing this for the first time? They're just saying, He's going to run him through the wall and just shoot it. And then so they don't know how to shoot around the fact that there's no stud for 6 feet, which would be against every building code in the United States of America. This shit has to be gone over. It's details. Why do you think I'm a fucking insane person? I'm thinking of all those goddamn things that could go wrong on television shows for 25 fucking years. But you have to. You have to think of everything that can go wrong and walk through every way you can shoot everything. And there's been many times in the past where I couldn't do that because we didn't have the budget or the time, and we were shooting a TV show in a fucking closet somewhere. But at that level, with that budget and that amount of people working for you, every detail ought to be nailed down. That's just my fucking point. And this is ridiculous. But anyway, I want to see a meme on Twitter of that camera crew scurrying away from the shot when they realize that they're in Paige's camera.